All right, we're all set to go. Usual front screen. What we're going to cover, how to make it faster, easier to use, make you more productive, and give you examples we can play as you wish at the end. So these are obvious. It can really help if you've got two screens. Have you got two screens?
I do have two screens.
Yeah, brilliant. So we're already there. The more you use it, guess what? The faster you get. But if you are in a position where you can use this every day, then that makes a huge difference to your ability to. I guess you're in Cairns, so it doesn't matter about your broadband. You've got plenty. This is often for people who are working from home, most of this stuff.
Right, yeah.
I would ignore it unless you've got a weak Wi-Fi signal where you are and you've got no wired cable internet or Ethernet connection, but you're probably fine, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, yeah, practice makes perfect. That's bloody obvious. Use Parish Online for more of your daily activities if you can. So a lot of the examples that come now, what you can do in Parish Online that you might have been doing in other stuff beforehand. So this is the base of the idea that people find things with their eyes. So if they want to know more about the village hall, then fill the village hall with all the instructions that they're going to need. So for instance, the Wi-Fi password is it what everyone wants to know when they get to the village hall. So it's there. They can just go and have a look at it. And what you might want to consider is putting this particular facility into the village website using public map, which we're going to get to later today. So this is just my way of suggesting you can make the facilities of Parish Online available to everybody, and the sorts of things that people want to know is, how do we turn on the sound system when we're in the village hall and we're having a birthday party and someone's got their sort of their favorite playlist on their iPhone. So how do we get that into the sound system? So all that sort of information is here. So just to demonstrate, I've clicked on Wi-Fi passwords and bingo, there they are, the two passwords for the two main hall and the committee room. And that's anyone can see here. And then the attachment here is what we print out, and so just like everybody else, we laminate the passwords and stick them up on the notice board, stick them in the entrance to the kitchen, that sort of thing, so everyone can find them. But the place to keep the document is here so that people know where to find it in the future. You don't have to go searching through a filing cabinet. Here it is in Parish Online. So I'm suggesting that there's no reason why Parish Online can't become your filing system. Again, it makes you use it much more frequently, which is the whole point of this presentation. So, and this is what the document looks like. So where would you go to find last year's children's playground report? Well, guess what? You go to the children's playground. You click on the icon and up comes all the attachments down here. And you can look at them and see exactly what we've said. So again, you're just getting the stuff out of the filing cabinet onto a computer where everybody can access it. It's quicker and easier for everyone. And again, you're making them use Parish Online, which means they'll become much more familiar with it. So this is simple. I'm just sort of telling you what I've already told you. This is important though. When people move, a lot of their knowledge goes with them unless they've stored it in Parish Online. And basically, again, a transition, if you're, in particular, if you're a parish clerk, then it's easier to pass over to your replacement how the system works, because again, it's all online, it's all within where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And you, of course, are going to get promoted, and so someone will take over your job, but it's much easier if it's all on Parish Online. So again, we've got villages that run their parish council meetings from within Parish Online, and there's a video here. I send you the link that you can look at it if you wish. Some of it's a bit out of date now. The video is a couple of years old, but the principles are much the same. Basically what they're saying is you need a large screen in the room where you're holding your meeting, which nowadays is fairly common for village halls and village hall committees and parish councils and parish council meetings. I recommend that if you're going to do that, you need somebody, as a third party, to run Parish Online for you. because the clerk is going to be busy taking notes. The chairman's going to be busy going through the agenda. So he needs a third party that can say, we're now discussing planning application wobbly wop, and you bring it straight up onto the screen. And when the sort of council makes a decision on parish application wobbly wop, you can put that decision straight in right there and then, and it's immediately live on the parish website because you public mapped it to it. And of course, the person running Parish Online needs to be Parish Online literate. And just out of interest, and I'm speaking now from personal experience, the person running Parish Online can be 100 miles away. You can just come in remotely, and he's doing everything that's showing on the screen that everyone's looking at, thanks to the marvels of Zoom. So I've recently moved away from Long Sutton in Somerset, but I'm still a parish councillor there, and I run the parish meetings within Parish Online from the Isle of Wight, where I live at the moment.
Okay.
Which is fun. So you need to make some preparations in order to do this smoothly. And what we've done is say any links that you need within the parish minutes or the agenda are already in place on the agenda. So, you know, one of the early items at any meeting is the minutes of the last meeting, just putting them on a link. And then if I'm driving the system from remotely, I will just click on the link and up will come the last minute meetings so that everybody can see what you talked about last month and whether they still agree to them or whether there are any matters arising. And then this is verbal, so we can't do anything about that. That's verbal, so we can't do anything about that. But then we get the planning applications portal, so I put a link into there. But then there's a link into Parish Online for every one of the applications that are under discussion today. So step one is set up your agenda as a series of hyperlinks, and then you can just jump to the appropriate link during the meeting. It's very effective. It does work. Step two, you're probably familiar with this because you're in South Somerset, and this is the South Somerset District Council's planning portal. But again, you're looking to make sure that everybody who's present in the meeting knows where they can go to find out answers later. And if you click on the Documents tab, up comes the appropriate information for that particular application. And when we put a planning application into Parish Online, we make sure that the link in it goes directly to this particular page. So you can always look up the documents for whichever application you're talking about. Again, we discussed this in Parish Online 101. The view bookmarks will let you come on and you can just jump to any planning application. We talked about using Control F to find the application. So I've typed in here 2201.261, and then the whole Parish Online has highlighted it. So although this Control F is outside Parish Online, it works very nicely within Parish Online. It's very convenient. In your browser, set up Parish Online in as many tabs as there are mappable items on the agenda. So what I mean by that is there are 3D planning applications on the agenda, so set them up in advance. And then when you go through the meeting, you can jump from tab to tab with the control key. So if you type Control 2 in Windows, it'll jump you straight to the second tab. And inevitably, so Control 8 will jump you up to the 8th tab if you've got 8 planning application. But it means that you're very smoothly working through your meeting without anybody having to wait for the IT to catch up. So when they say we've dealt with application 1, now let's move to application 2, it's just a matter of hitting Control 2. So that's I think it's a huge advantage. And because Parish Online is a multi-user system, you can have as many tabs as you like opened up in Parish Online, and each one is you set up your bookmarks so you're already in the right place. It's just, again, a way of speeding up so that people are not getting fidgety or upset because it's taking time for the screen to come up in bloody technology, you know. So we jump to Control 2. Control 2 is already set up on this screen. This is the object under discussion, and it makes easy. You can jump back to the agenda should you wish to, just with an Alt tab. Again, a lot of parish clerks are not as computer literate as you are, so this will all be news to them. I have quite a lot of people on the interactive sessions who've got no idea how to jump between the Zoom session and Parish Online. But so some of this is written for those people, so I'm sorry about it, but I'm stating the obvious for you, but you're not the only person seeing this meeting. Okay, so this is just a summary of what we've been talking about. Basically, this is all straightforward. You know about this. The parish council thus has full and fast access to all the documents and the relevant map to make a thorough discussion. Remember, the whole point of Parish Online is to enable people to make better informed decisions. So by making everything instantly available to them, they can see all the appropriate stuff. If there are additional layers that you should have brought in to make it clear, if we brought in the flooding layer or the conservation area or the sites of special scientific interest, if they impact on this planning application, you can just put them there ready to go when the decisions are being made. And then we've already discussed this, because you're already in the record for the planning application under discussion. When the council says, okay, we vote to be in support of this, you can just go in ahead and make a note that you've supported it on this date, and it's all done. So no time wasting for the parish clerk later. You've done it all for her or him during the meeting itself. So this is where I'm trying to show that Parish Online is very useful to parish clerks, because it saves them time, providing that it's somebody else is making the work, doing the work for them in the middle of the meeting. Right. So everything else on the agenda, you may have a footpaths report, in which case the public rights of way can be shown up. Again, Village Hall will say we're going to have the summer fete, we're going to put the marquee for this there, but we're going to put the hamburger stand over there, and people can see. So we've got a project running about upgrading the playground. You can discuss the budgets and everything else, again, all within Parish Online. So you save people a lot of time and trouble, and you're giving councillors a much broader picture of decisions that they're making. And hopefully they'll make better decisions. All right. I think we've touched on this in the past, but it's worth spending time on. South Somerset has already made the decision to buy Parish Online's big brother, which is XMAP. So the geographical information system that South Somerset is using is indeed the big brother to Parish Online. Now that's a transition, they're still moving towards it, but an awful lot of the data that South Somerset has is now going to be available automatically to Parish Online users such as yourself, which is really great, because they don't necessarily recognize that what they've got is of interest to you down at the parish level. Or a town level. Are you a town council at Carn, or are you still a parish?
We are a town council.
Okay.
We are Wiltshire Council as opposed to South Somerset.
You're kidding. I'm so sorry. I beg your
No.
pardon. Well,
fine.
Wiltshire is a unitary, and they ought to have done this, but my bet is that they haven't. So what I mentioned here for your benefit is that Geosphere offer to do all the work for the council involved. So if Wiltshire is not putting out, say, all of its planning applications into Parish Online, then all you need to do is to find the right person within the Wiltshire Unitary and say, we want to get this done, and you don't have to worry about finding the time or resources to do it. Geosphere will do it for you at no charge, which is hugely useful. The other thing I offer to people is that when they're trying to get something done at the unitary level, do not, under any circumstances, contact the Geographical Information Systems team, the GIS people, nor the IT people. The person you're looking to deal with, I'm sure you know this already, but I'll just mention it as if you weren't, is the officer in the unitary who's charged with customer service or whatever they call it. They call it different things depending on which county you're talking to. But there is going to be somebody whose job it is to make sure that the customers are being looked after. And the customers to a county or a unitary are the town and parish councils. So if you want something done, don't go to the IT department, go to the customer service director or the CEO or the customer service officer, whoever it is, and get him. It might be called client service, it might be called customer service, it may be called experience manager, whatever it happens to be. They've all got new jargon nowadays. But that's the person who gets things moving because he's charged with providing service to the customers and you're the customer. So a lot of governments or levels of government don't seem to have latched on to this yet, but they are getting there slowly. And just to boost your morale, my experience is that once they've got the message, they can't stop being helpful. So typically one thinks of higher levels of government as being unresponsive, uncooperative, and unhelpful. They tend to get sort of caught up in their own importance, and they forget that what they're actually doing is working on behalf of the public and their clients, who is you. And you can remind them of that and say, you know, we can just take all this workload off you, get Geosphere to do it. They're amazingly fast. So Geosphere can come in and pick up a database and export it into Parish Online and set it up to run automatically thereafter in about 3 minutes. It's very quick. So it'll take an IT department 4 or 5 days to work out what to do and how to do it. And they'll say it's very difficult and impossible, and they haven't got anybody who's got 5 days spare. But you can say, well, look, why don't you give the rights to Geosphere for 3 minutes, and they'll set it all up, and then you can turn off their rights so that they don't get back in again, which is obviously a good security issue. But thereafter, any changes they make in their data are being automatically exported to Parish Online. Really helpful stuff. And again, if I've not mentioned it to you before, I can't remember, I'm sorry, but it does work both ways. Parish Online can export its data up to their level of Unity because it's a geographical information system itself. It obeys the correct formats, it obeys the correct procedures. So if they think that you down at the town level have a better understanding of the local footpaths or the grit bins or whatever it is that you're responsible for, you can update their information by their giving Parish Online the rights to update. So it's can be a two-way system. It's very difficult getting government at higher levels to trust the lower levels enough to let them interfere with their data. But when it does work, it's brilliant. And there is, I think the next pages, I show you what Parish Online is looking at now at doing themselves, because the whole world is sort of ought to be very, very worried about climate. A lot of councils have declared a climate emergency, but having declared it, then they're saying, now what? And these are some of the things I'm about to show you, which you can do. So has Cairn declared a climate emergency?
Yes, it has, yeah.
It have, okay. So some of this you may find of interest to somebody in one of your colleagues, if they're responsible for the climate emergency. So I'm just showing you examples here of what we've done, but I think I've shown you these before. So we're getting these catchment areas, which is of great interest to parents. And again, public map means that they're always updated and everyone can always see them, ditto for gritting routes and footpaths and all sorts of things. So there are various ways of choosing how you would show a planning application. So the bottom right is how it comes out from SSDC in our case, which shows you, which is not as necessarily as helpful as either showing the applications on a map like this or showing them as points on a map like this. So basically you can choose whichever system seems most appropriate for your area, but there are plenty of options available. So conservation areas I've mentioned in passing, but they're an export from this case, Somerset Heritage people. You will have your own view in Caen. Why did I think Caen? Oh, I'm muddling you up with Chard. I do beg your pardon. That's probably an insult, but never mind, Robert. We've got you established now as being in Wiltshire. Okay. So all these sorts of things are available. They are, depending on where you are and depending on how helpful or cooperative your local tiers of government are, or in the case of, Summit Heritage, it's a private organization, but they've got stuff that's really useful to the parishes. So you can find places within Wiltshire that will do the same thing. And again, I'm very delighted to talk to people to show them how easy it is, what the advantages are, and basically to help get more people familiar with Parish Online and making Parish Online more helpful by having more data in it. So I think this is all, yes, what we just said. So you're looking for a customer services director or whatever it happens to be, and this is a two-way street. Sorry. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Parish Online can help the upper levels of government by making things easier to report. So reporting incidents with coordinates showing where the fly tipping is that the council's got to go and clear up, or where potholes are, can save them a lot of time and money, because they just nowadays can send their vehicle to that precise coordinate. Again, if you've got someone who's driven into a street sign, or the kids have defaced it and damaged it, take a photograph of it, send it in with the coordinates, and immediately the county know what size sign they want, which one they want, and basically there's a lot of time and money saved by people arriving at the right place with the right sign, and they know where to go. We've mentioned, I think, during the tools discussion in 101, the asset register export. Again, it takes less than a minute to generate, and it may save your town clerk a lot of time and trouble. I think most of this is straightforward. There is a facility for labeling within Parish Online, but if areas get very tight and confused, it's sometimes easier to do the labels yourself as a separate layer. I just mentioned that as one of the things that people have come up with. If they have issues with labeling, then they can just, this is the workaround. We discussed annotations being temporary earlier. We discussed checking the toggle mask if your printing is not coming out the way you expect it to be. And we discussed, when going through the print menu, that there is a custom option in the scale box where you can get exactly the scale that you need for fitting everything that you want into that one little print square. Oops, sorry. We discussed, I didn't mean to do that, did I? Yeah, here we go. We discussed the community forum, and there's a link here to it for getting issues resolved. And there's the banter sessions on Friday afternoon, which I think I've sent you the link for, but you can find them. The link is in the group sessions timetable on the website. So it's very much set up for people just to drop in, ask a question, and then get out again. No one's going to be hurt if you don't stay for longer than 3 minutes, but it's a way of saving you time, then it's well worth doing. Okay. For your people dealing with climate emergency, there is the CO2 calculator built into Parish Online. Do you know about this?
No, I've seen that there's a climate and emergency kind of layer, but I wasn't aware.
Okay,
of...
well, yes, but it's not immediately obvious how you get into this calculator. But if you go to any parish boundary and click on it, then the option comes up to take the CO2 calculator, and this is what it comes up with. And this is an interesting thing. I won't spend time on it now, but people can see what the in their area, what the CO2 generation is on a per household basis or a per industry basis. So how much is the farmland producing, how much is agriculture, how much is transport, how much is shipping. People think that shipping is funny because there aren't any ships in Caen, but the stuff that comes into Caen may very well have come by ship. So it takes that into account and gives you an idea. So if your climate emergency people are setting policies on how are we going to get the best bang for the buck on reducing CO2, this calculator can give them a very clear indication of where to go. It's also got a comparison option, so you compare how you're doing with local areas around you, and you can see whether they've got things right that you haven't, or vice versa. So it's a powerful tool, very interesting to use, and if they don't know about it, then you can win all sorts of kudos by pointing out that they've already got it in Parish Online. The next one, you mentioned seeing the sort of climate emergency stuff, or the climate thing. This is one of the ones that comes out, is the emergency performance, sorry, the energy performance certificates, the EPCs. And basically they give you the option of saying which buildings will be most easily moved to the C rating, which is what the government is shooting for by 2035 or something. They want every building in the country to be at least a C rating.
Yeah.
So your council is going to have to decide how they're going to help that. So they show you from these charts which buildings will benefit from upgrades and which is the low-hanging fruit, because they tell you which points, how many points you're going to win by upgrading this particular building as opposed to that one. So particularly for your people setting policies or strategies, this is a great tool to help them say, we've got, £5,000 available. What's the best way of employing it? And you can take a look and see which of the buildings in Caen do or do not have high-level certificates for the energy performance. And obviously you want to boost the ones that are low. You can do that on a council basis, i.e. which buildings does the council own that need to be upgraded, but you can also do it on a policy basis for your general public. If you've got a whole area where all the houses can just make a huge difference just by upgrading their roof insulation or their attic insulation, then you may decide to policy, let's give £1,000 towards each homeowner or something as being the best way of getting to where we're shooting for. So again, it's an option within Parish Online that can be helpful to them. Another one it's coming up is, I really like these ones. So basically, Parish Online is working with an external organization, I think called Energio, whatever they want to call themselves, who are doing analysis of satellite photographs. So they're using artificial intelligence to say, let's see all the buildings in the country that have south-facing roofs. So they're suitable for putting solar panels on. And then let's take a look at the satellite photograph and see which ones already have solar panels. And now we'll highlight in red the ones that are not, which again is giving your climate emergency people something to aim for. Well, where are we going to best put solar panels on which buildings don't already have it? So that's helpful. If they're discussing electronic vehicle charging points, then the same people, Energio, are presenting maps that say, if you have a house that doesn't have a driveway, it's difficult to put a charging point there, which is not going to interfere with people with cables crossing pavements and so forth, because the cars are parked outside the house and you don't want cables tripping over pedestrians. So what they've done is said all the houses in red do not have driveways, and therefore they would benefit from having a charging point somewhere near. And the nearest available point is the parking lot, which is a public car park owned by the council. So you should be putting in X number of charging points in there to satisfy the buildings all within a 5-minute walk or whatever. So it's just another way of looking at the situation. And they can do the same thing with, if you're talking about community heat pumps or anything else community-wise, then and energy. Parish Online is a great way of demonstrating to people trying to make policy decisions and certainly budget decisions on how to get the best bang for the buck, basically. So that's your hints and tips session, all done, Robert. we now move to the section where you can ask any questions if you have any. You may well feel that we've discussed everything already.
Yeah,
How's your brain reeling?
yeah, not too bad. It's good, just refreshing stuff, I think, which is ideal. And like you say, you kind of think of mapping as it can only be used for mapping, but actually, in this setup, it's much more. It's got much more value to it. So that's really interesting.
I think that having invested in Parish Online, can now do a lot more with it than they probably thought when they first bought it. Definitely. Are you going to be the gospel messenger, the person that's?
Yeah, I was the one that was pushing to get it, and actually ended up paying for it out of my own budget because I was that keen on getting it. But I think now the value's being seen in it, and obviously we just need to maximize our use from it. So I'm already. One of the main things I've used it for recently was I worked with the company that are kind of responsible for surveying and looking after Wiltshire Council's lighting columns.
All right.
Okay. And they sent some data through for like the positions of the lighting columns and the information in regards to that. But what I might do, because I obviously picked up on it through this training course, was if they were willing to work with or liaise with Geosphere, wasn't it, or XMAP?
Yeah.
Whether or not they would just do a bulk transfer of all the data to them, and then Geosphere could put it in.
Yes, they would. They have said they've done that, provided that your company can provide the geographic coordinates for each streetlight.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they've got. So the answer to your question is absolutely. So by all means, just send a message to support@geosphere.com.
Yeah.
And make that suggestion to them. I think you'll be very impressed with the answer, because I think it's a great idea. Great idea. If you need to persuade other members of the council of areas in which they can use Parish Online, I'm very happy to give a presentation to them or support you, as the local area champion, if you will, if that helps.
Yeah, quite possibly.
If you want to get the budget moved to somebody else's budget.
Yeah. I think it will be put on the right one going forward, but it was just, like I say, I was that keen on doing it because I can see the value in it. That
well, if you can start producing things that people see the value in that, then that's also a great session. Good.
Yeah, definitely. Lovely.
Well, you're very welcome. I'll see you again at 3 o'clock.
Yes, perfect.
If that works for you.
Yeah, that should be fine.
We can run those two straight into each other if you like.
Yeah, that'll work well for me. That'd be brilliant.
Okay, Robert. Lovely to talk to you. Take care.
Yes, I shall see you later.
Indeed. Bye-bye.
Ta-ra.